Hello and welcome to another episode of Authentic Leader TV. I'm your host, Amber Ludwig from AuthenticLeaderAcademy.com, and I just want to thank you so much for taking your time to join me while I talk about this very important topic. There are so many entrepreneurs out there that are feeling stretched way too thin. It's affecting their creativity, it's affecting their profits, it's affecting the relationship with their family. At the end of the day, entrepreneurs especially want to know, how can I balance my work life from my personal life? You know, they're equal passions, right? Of course you're passionate about your clients and building your business and it excites you, but you're also passionate about your kids or your husband or your wife and your friends. And we're not even scratching the surface of talking about, is there any time at the end of the day for you? What about you time? Don't you crave that time where you can just sit in silence or look up at the stars or read a book or just do what you want to do, right? Now, that's what we're really going to talk today, and I'm going to dive in really deep with you because this is actually a topic that is very personal to me. It's very serious to me. In my early 20s, I was working at this job where I gave it everything I had. That's not even a joke at all. I literally gave myself fully to that company for a lot of different reasons. I mean, I was young, so I had the energy, but also, I felt like I was on a roll. There was this rush and I was getting results and I was respected and I was excited and it was just all of this stuff was compounding and it made me want to work even harder, work even more. Due to the nature of my position, it was basically a 7-day-a-week position because Monday through Thursday I was recruiting, for Friday through Sunday I was training, and it was a sales position. Because I'm either recruiting or training and managing my team and managing the receptionist and helping to run the office and help run the division, it was a high responsibility position and I felt like I was on call all the time. And what do you guess happened? As I continued to burn all of that energy, what I noticed happening is my personal friendships and relationships were suffering. How could they possibly sustain when I was gone all the time? I was completely occupied. And if we went out to dinner or something, I had to be there on call on the phone to help these new recruits go out and get results on their training weekend. So there was just a lot of different things happening. And I was so excited about the business stuff. I didn't feel depleted. I was excited to do that work, but as a byproduct, naturally, you can only do so much before another area suffers. And what suffered worst of all, after about a year or two of doing this at this intensity for this long, I achieved a level of burnout and I started getting exhausted all the time. I was getting the common cold all the time. And doctors were saying that I had chronic fatigue and I would have it forever, and I just couldn't manage stress well. And I was really disappointed to hear that because up until that point, I really did feel like Superwoman, like I could try to do it all and conquer it all. And I had all this energy. And again, it wasn't like I was doing work that I didn't enjoy. I thoroughly enjoyed the time that I was working, and I also enjoyed the time that I could spend with my family and friends. But at the end of the day, I'm only one person. I could only do so much, so I had to start making some decisions. And this leads me to the first point that I really want to drive home to you, is that when you're thinking about how do I balance work life and the personal life for my family and my business, the number one question that you have to ask yourself is why? Believe it or not, and that might seem a little ridiculous, but really sit down and consider what your business means to you and at what level you would push yourself in order for it to succeed. What boundaries do you have around your business? What's acceptable to you and what's not acceptable to you? For example, I have clients who are taking calls at 10 o'clock at night from other clients, working on Sundays. They're working any chance they get because at this point they just want clients. So they're in this mentality of, I'll just work whenever people need me to work because I need money. And that is a really unhealthy set of guidelines and boundaries to have in your business, because when you think about it, how are you conditioning your clients to treat you? So that's kind of something I want you to think about, is what do you think is appropriate or acceptable in terms of your business? Now, think about the same thing with your family life. Friends, how often is it acceptable for you to go out and see your friends? And what activities do you want to do with your friends? And really think about those friendships or the relationships that you have in your family and be thinking, what is a healthy dynamic and what's an unhealthy dynamic? Who are the people in my life that are supporting me and building me up and helping me achieve my dreams? Versus who are those people in my life that make me feel lazy, they make me feel tired, I feel just drained around them, or I feel unhappy around those people. And I really want you to analyze your life from this perspective in a way that you probably have never taken time to do so before. But if you want to be the person that achieves balance in your personal and professional world, you're going to have to get very clear on what it is exactly that you want and why. For me, when I'm looking back on my business, after I made that sort of sacrifice for my career in my early 20s, it really woke me up. And it woke me up to my body and how my body is only capable of doing so much. And there's a lot that has to work in sync together in order for me to be at my peak performance, basically, right? So how am I mentally doing up here? How am I doing spiritually? How am I doing physically? Am I healthy? Am I getting enough water, enough sleep? What unhealthy habits do I have in my life? And these all play a factor in how I'm able to show up every single day, what level of energy that I have. Because again, if you want to try to do it all or have this balance, you're going to have to work at the peak capacity for your body and your mind and your spirit. And that's just true. This isn't woo-woo stuff. This is just logic. This is just what everybody knows. And so I decided in my mid-20s to take my body and my life very seriously. So here are some of the changes or shifts or decisions that I decided to make in my life, and then we'll kind of move on to some more practical ideas here in just a minute to help you with that balance. But for example, one thing that I decided on is that I felt drained. I didn't feel good when my sleep schedule was sporadic. So what I tried to do is I tried to make sure that my sleep routine was pretty consistent every single night, where I went to bed and woke up around the same amount of time. I had to integrate consistency in working out. I was working out here and there and maybe there, and now I had to come up with a consistent routine for working out, for eating well, for drinking water. I mean, all of this is going to play into this overall balance. And really, it comes down to making sure that you have time for yourself, time so that you can work out and exercise or do the things that are most important to you, whether it's reading or taking your dog on a walk or whatever it is that's just for you. You have to make sure that you are happy first and foremost, because if you are not happy and if you are not healthy, then how can you possibly expect to put on your Superman cape and show up in business and show up as the perfect family man and friend? And look, I'm not condoning perfectionism here, because I don't think that anything is perfect in this world, but I do believe in pushing ourselves and being the best person that we can be and maximizing our potential. So I just want to be clear on that differentiation there. So first I had to look at, why is this important to me? Why do I want to try to have a balanced life? And why do I want to try to have as much as I can in this life? Family, relationships, travel experience, lifestyle, fun, entertainment. Why do I really want to try to have it all? Why does that mean so much to me? And then I had to start coming up with some guidelines, or basically a routine, in order to get those things accomplished. I'm about to give you the golden nugget of all time of how you're going to be able to balance your work life and your personal life. And here it is. The golden nugget is that in order to achieve this balance, you're going to have to be a schedule junkie. A schedule junkie. You may not have a schedule, or maybe you do. Maybe you've got a little to-do list brewing from day to day or once a week or something like that. Maybe you have a calendar where you have some appointments here and there. That's not even the kind of schedule that I'm talking about. I'm talking about you converting yourself into becoming a schedule junkie, where you are scheduling everything in. And I believe, and I've proven, that this really, really works. Let's take your business for a minute. You have the best intentions of writing that blog post, right? Or you have the best intentions of creating that video or being on social media or sending that email to your email list. But does that mean that it gets done? And the answer is usually no. I can tell you right now that the things that I don't schedule in my calendar, day by day or minute by minute or whatever it is, the things that do not get scheduled but I have good intentions for, the likelihood of me getting those done gets cut in half, at least in half. That is not very likely that I'm going to get that done, right? So what I had to do is, knowing my personality, that if it's not mandatory, maybe I'll just kind of shove it out there a little ways and be easy on myself or whatever my logic is around that. If that's not going to work for me, and I've proven that, then I'm going to have to be a little bit more strict on myself. And it's not like I'm really cracking down the whip and I don't get to have fun, but I work hard so I can play hard. And here's what I mean by this in my schedule. For example, I know what day and what time I'm going to record these episodes. I know what day I'm going to be writing my blog post, what day I'm going to be sending out my email to my email list, and I have everything scheduled in my calendar. You can schedule, time that you're going to sit down and research, or you're going to watch videos on YouTube for a half an hour every Friday, or you're going to, go out there and see how many podcast interviews you can get on, or you're going to do guest blogging, or, think about the zillion ways that you can market your business online and really work toward building and growing that business. And those activities in which you think are the most important to build your business online, those should be in your schedule every single week without fail. And if you're not at the place where you're conditioned enough to do it by day, then set a specific time. So if you think that you're going to do your blog post on Wednesday, but now it's the end of the day and you didn't get it done, and now you're tired and you're drained and you think, oh, I'll just put it off till tomorrow. If that happens even 2 weeks in a row, then you can't handle that much freedom in your schedule. And it's okay. You'll work up toward it, just like exercising a muscle. But in the beginning, you might have to be really strict on yourself and say, on Wednesday at 11 a.m., I'm going to write that blog post for 45 minutes. And if it only takes me 20 minutes, now I have extra time. During that extra time, I can reward myself and I can go on a walk, or I can get more work done that I wasn't planning on doing and get ahead for the week, or whatever it is that you decide. But plan enough time so that you're not behind all day. That's an important part of this, because we tend to think that things are going to happen faster than we do. We don't account for the fact that technology is going to break, or somebody's going to email some urgent request, or whatever it is that comes up out of the blue that slows us down or distracts us. I always like to pad my schedule a little bit just to make sure it's realistic, because nothing is worse than getting to the end of the day and not getting my to-do list done. I just don't feel very good about myself, and I want to feel really good about the way that I show up for my work every single day. So that's why I make sure that I'm not easy on myself, but I'm not incredibly hard on myself either. And by scheduling in when I'm going to do certain things at work, then I know it's going to get done, which relieves a lot of stress off of me. I don't have to worry about the blog post for next week because I know that I'm going to get it done on Tuesday, and I don't have to keep all of that information cycling around in my brain because it's in my schedule. Now that's the business side of it. The same exact rules apply for your personal side. Add in any soccer games that you're going to, or if you're going to babysit for your niece, or if you're going to go to the mall, if you committed to do a bowling league on Tuesday nights, or whatever it is that you do in your personal life, schedule that in. There's nothing wrong with scheduling laundry time and clean the bathroom time and run errands time and go grocery shopping time. Truly, this might seem like an overwhelming task at first. It might seem annoying. You may even be frustrated that this is my golden nugget of advice, but I'm telling you that If you're kind of turning your nose up to it, it's because you haven't tried it yet. And I'm telling you that I'm living proof that it works. Because as I move through my weeks day to day, I don't feel that anxiety that so many other entrepreneurs in this space are feeling, because everything's in my schedule and I know it's going to get done. And similarly, when I get off of work, I know when laundry is going to get done and I know when I'm going to go run those errands. So on the nights when I have nothing scheduled, it's like such a joy. It's a treat. It's something that I look forward to. And on those nights, I can go on a date. I can, with my fiance, soon to be husband, depending on when you're watching this, I can go take my niece out, or I can go out with my best friend, or whatever it is that I want to do to fill me up and make me happy and make me just feel that balance in my life. Now, taking this even to another level here, something that I decided to do early on in my business, and this kind of circles back to the beginning, I was thinking about the boundaries that I want to have in my business, the kind of relationship that I want to have with my clients. Because I saw people that were close to me that, again, were taking calls at 10 o'clock at night or on Sundays. And I looked at that, and honestly, I tried not to judge it. I just felt sorry for them. And I thought that they can't be happy with that. That must make them feel like they're on call all the time. And I remember how that made me feel toward the end. What I decided to do is, when I opened up my company doors, I said that I work normal business hours. I work 9 to 5. And if you contact me after 5 or on the weekends, then my office is closed and I will be unavailable. Now, I will still check my emails from my phone from time to time in case some emergency comes up because of the level of responsibility that I have with my clients. But I would say that once or twice a year, something happens after hours. And, I'm happy to accommodate the client at that point because it is an emergency and because that's the kind of service provider that I want to be. I want my clients to know that they can rely on me. However, because I've made it so clear that I'm not available on nights and weekends, then they respect those boundaries. And in the very beginning of a client relationship, if I come across a client who doesn't seem to really understand why I'm not working, at 8 p.m. on a Wednesday night, for example, sometimes I've gotten emails from a new client and they send an email at 6 o'clock on Wednesday, and by 5 a.m. or by 8 p.m. that night or 5 a.m. the next morning, they send another email saying, did you get this email? I mean, it's given me no time, no business hours whatsoever to respond. And honestly, I smile to myself and I reply, normal business hours. And I just say something like, hey, client, yes, I did get both of your emails. Thank you so much for checking. I actually check email during normal business hours, and I am not really available on nights and weekends. And in parentheses, I put for balance reasons. So I'm very clear that, hey, the reason that I don't work around the clock is because I try to have balance in my life. And do you know that every single time without fail that I say that to a new client, just upbeat, just letting them know my conditions, my guidelines, they say, wow, that's incredible. I love that rule. I think I'm going to implement it too. And it gives them permission to not feel like they have to work all the time either. And it just starts the relationship off in a really good place. So if you find, let's say that you're in the middle of your business, you have clients that are in the past and they've been contacting you around the clock and you've been accommodating that. What I would encourage you to do is at the first of the month, whatever month is ahead of us, then I would encourage you to send an email to all of your clients with a subject line that says, updated policies or something like that. And just let your clients know how much you value their business and how much you love working on their project. And in order to provide better service to them, you have decided to implement the following policies. Number 1, our email is going to be available to you from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. If you email or call after hours and it is not an absolute emergency, then we will contact you the next morning of the next business day morning. If it is an absolute emergency, then we will be here for you. But because of, needing to achieve better balance so that we can provide better service, we ask that you respect that you only call and say it's an emergency when it really is. And you can even add any other policy updates that you want to kind of pad the email, but it's important that you really respect yourself first, because then your clients are going to respect you as well, and they're going to appreciate that you're showing up rested on your A game to service them or to be there for them. And this especially goes for the coaches that are watching this video right now, because you have a humongous responsibility when you're coaching people. Huge responsibility. You have to show up rested and on your A game because of that responsibility. And I really believe that if you set these guidelines, that's really going to help them as well. And you're going to get a higher return of clients. It's just going to help the overall picture. So scheduling everything is going to be one of your greatest keys to success in achieving work and life balance. Now, once you create this schedule, it's important that you have a conversation with your spouse, your children, your family, your parents, whomever it is that's in your closest inner circle. And you should let them know, this is what my schedule is, these are my concerns. I want to make sure that when I'm at work, that I'm working. And I love having lunch with you sometimes, or I love it when you call me in the afternoons or whatever it is. But if I'm going to make this work, if I'm going to be fully present and available to you when I'm not working, I need to spend my work hours working, and being really dedicated and focused during that time. So it doesn't mean that I don't want to talk to you. It doesn't mean that I don't love you. Of course I do, but I'm just really going to try to crack down on my schedule so that I can have a greater relationship with you. Again, if you let them know your why and you let them know your schedule, then everybody's going to be working together to support your goals. And they're going to really respect the fact that you are doing this kind of work to begin with, because it's only going to prove how much you value that relationship. I think this is really important. So hopefully that will give you some comfort or some confidence in having those conversations with your loved ones, and hopefully they can get on board with your schedule and your bigger vision and your goals. If you have friends and family in your life that don't understand why you're doing the business that you're doing, they just don't get it at all, then you should take that person out to dinner or to ice cream or go on a walk, and you should explain it to them. If they don't understand why you're doing this, or if they're negative and not really supporting you, then really that comes back to you not explaining it correctly to them. Most likely, okay? There are some people out there that just aren't supportive, and for that I apologize. I'm sorry if you have somebody in your life like that. That's really unfortunate. But most people are going to be open to that conversation. If you say, look, I know this seems like crazy that I'm even doing this business, but here's why it's so passionate to me. These are the results that I've gotten. Here's how it makes me feel more alive than I've ever felt before. Can you think of a time in your life when you felt like that? Oh, great, Mom, because that's how this makes me feel. And I would love your support and encouragement, because this isn't always going to be easy, and it's going to be really hard getting this business up and running. But what's going to make it so much easier is if I have your support in the process, and if you can pick me up when I'm down. Can I count on you for that? It's just opening up those lines of communication. It's going to sound ludicrous if you've never had a conversation like that before, but I'm telling you, it's the most healing conversation that you can have with one of your loved ones. And if they're not going to bring it up first, then you have a responsibility to bring it up first. So we talked about scheduling, we talked about communication. Now, in terms of your mindset, the biggest thing is that you have to be present. When you're working, you need to focus on work. And when you're on your personal side, then focus on your personal side. Try not to bring your work into the personal side of things. And some of the tips that I can give you on how to do that. When I'm done with the workday, this is my process. I don't care if it sounds like really ridiculous or anal retentive. This is what I do. I make sure that all of my emails are gone out of my inbox, like down to zero. And then what I do is I completely clean my desk. I put all of my pens away. I organize my calculator and my stapler, and I organize my papers. I write out my entire to-do list, line by line by line for the next day. I write out when I'm going to be doing my appointments, little reminders for myself. I'll sometimes even take like a damp rag and I'll wipe down my office desk and organize, just organize everything, readjust my picture frame if it got knocked off of kilter, and just make sure everything looks brand spanking new. And somehow the act of cleansing the day, getting closure on the day, and then brain dumping onto that to-do list, and then I know that the office is waiting for me the next day. There's nothing else I can think of that I have to put on that list, so it's out of my mind. And what I do is, as soon as I walk out of those double doors, I cross this barrier into my personal life, and that's it. Now I can just relax. I can be fully present with my family. I can take my dog on a walk. I can call my parents, and I can do all of those things that really fill me up in that capacity and in that world. But you have to be present, because if you are, for me anyway, if I'm working and I'm trying to do laundry, and then the refrigerator repair guy shows up, and the Amazon guy shows up, and then my friend calls, forget it. I'm done for the day. There is no way I'm going to be able to get focused enough, get creative enough, get empowered enough to really make a difference in my business that day. So you're going to maybe have to readjust your mindset a little bit to keep them a little bit more separate. But that's what's really worked for me. I can tell you that I leave work at work, and then I can be fully present and engaged with my family and my friends when I'm not working. Now, if all of this, you're listening to all of this and it seems pretty reasonable, but then you start implementing it, you start to get overwhelmed, and you just feel like, even though I'm separating work and personal, and I know my goals and I know my whys, and I'm having these conversations, life in general is just overwhelming to me. And I feel stressed. I feel like I don't have any time for me, and I feel cranky, or I just can't get out of my head, and I feel almost this anxiety about it from time to time. Then I want to leave you with this one final tip, and this has made a tremendous difference in my life. It was very hard for me to implement at first, very hard. And here's what it is. What I had to do when those feelings kind of started to really bubble up in my life, I had to start taking an active daily focus on personal development. Now, personal development can mean a variety of different things. It can mean meditating or exercising, reading and writing, affirmations, visualizations. If you are new to personal development, or you have forgotten it, or you have just chosen to avoid it, or it's just become a back burner priority to you, then I would highly encourage you right now to take this as a message from above, message from the universe, God, whatever you choose to call it. And I want you right now to go and buy a book, and it's on Amazon. It's called The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. And if you have seen any of my videos before, you know I'm constantly promoting that book because I think it is very easy to read. It covers the basics. It's inspiring. And it's just a process and a system that you can go through with ease. And you know what? I'll take something easy any day of the week with how complex life has become for all of us. So that's one thing that you can do. But if you have a passion, whether it's yoga or meditation or walking your dog or gardening, whatever it is for you, you're going to have to schedule you time. And this is going to be kind of a conflict for you, because if you are stretched really thin, you're thinking, I don't even have enough time to be with my husband or my wife, let alone how am I supposed to just take time away from the person that I love the most, who obviously wants more attention with me, and give that to myself? That seems selfish, and I can't do it. I don't have the time for me. And the reality is that you don't not have time for you, because if you don't make yourself a priority, and I mean immediately today, then how do you expect to have that peak performance or that energy to be able to give to your husband and wife, or fully provide great service for your clients? It all starts with you, and that's how I started this video. It starts with your mental health, your physical health, and your spiritual health. And really, you need to keep those things aligned. And that's one of the things that I struggle with the most, because I can either physically be healthy, or I can mentally be healthy, or spiritually be healthy, but it's really a challenge for me to keep a pace on all three of those at the same time and make sure that there's balance there as well. Because when we tend to focus on one thing, that drives our energy up there, but then that takes energy away from someplace else. So I would just encourage you to think about, what are the things that you love to do the most? I can tell you, for me, one of the things I absolutely love to do the very, very most is listen to music, whether it's going to a concert or drinking a glass of wine and listening to a full CD or whatever it is. I am such a huge music person. It feeds my soul, which means that every time that I sit down and I really just let myself go in music, it's ultimate amber time. It feeds me. It gives me energy. It gives me clarity. It helps me process from the day. It helps me let go. And it just kind of transports me into a different area. And I want you to think about what it is for you that gives you that feeling of, that is going to re-energize you and allow you to go tackle your business and tackle your family life and your personal life, being the very best that you can be, maximizing your potential. I'm here to tell you it is possible, and nothing is going to be easy the first time you really start to pay attention to it and implement it. But I promise you, it's just like exercising a muscle. Before you know it, it's going to become routine for you. You're going to feel a lot less stressed, a lot happier. You're going to be more productive, and people are going to enjoy being around you even more. I'd love to hear any questions or feedback that you have at this point. Leave a comment into the box below. And more than anything, I'd love for your help in sharing this message with others by using Facebook or YouTube or Twitter. And just share this message with others, because I really want to raise the level of awareness and help reduce anxiety for online entrepreneurs and others. So I would love your help in doing so. In the meantime, I can't wait to catch you on the next episode and read your feedback. And again, I really value your support and your time, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.